Hi and welcome. Sean Thompson here, spiritual counselor and psychic medium, owner of Inner Healing. I'm glad that you can join me today. In today's video, we are going to talk all about how numerology, astrology, the moon, and we can't forget Mercury Retrograde, how all of that impacts not only your personal life, but your business as well. So I would like to just go ahead and jump in to numerology. Numerology is an ancient modality and tradition that takes numbers and letters and compiles them into a vibrational bit of information that can help you determine or kind of outline a structure of what to pay attention to in your personal and your business world. So there are some core numbers in numerology that you definitely want to pay attention to, and they relate to your life path, your life purpose, your strengths and weaknesses, your karmic lessons that are going to come in, and your challenges. And one of the reasons why I love incorporating numerology into a business plan or a business model is because if you're having any doubts of your life purpose or wanting to know what your strengths and weaknesses are from the very beginning, so that you can outsource information or know what you will be an expert at or good at versus what you may want to bring somebody else in for, is really valuable information, especially when you're a one-man show and you're trying to open up shop or a business, and you need to know maybe where to put or allocate your money to and where you can allocate your time or sweat equity to. So in numerology, we want to look at the four. When I look at a chart, I look at the four core numbers, which include your life path, your expression number, your birthday number, and your personality number, the heart's desire. It's really important to look at that one as well, and what you come in to learn this lifetime. And so if we break it down and look at your life path, this is a number that's going to represent your blueprint, okay? It takes the numbers related to your birthday and it deduces it down into a single digit. And it really gives you an overlay of what you've come here and what challenges and weaknesses you've come in to rectify this lifetime. So that's your life path. Then you move into your expression number. Expression is if you were to take all of your lifetimes and roll it into one, and you come in with strengths and weaknesses, that would fall under your expression number. So that's really important too. Then you want to look at your heart's desire, which is what you really want to accomplish this lifetime. It really reveals what you're here to learn in life. So it's really powerful. And this is the one that's going to talk about your career and your relationships. So when you get a chart done, you want to focus on your heart's desire just to make sure that you're on track. Your personality number is kind of how you take on the world. And so in addition to astrology, which we'll look at your sun sign, your moon, and your rising, your personality number in numerology is important too, because it's how you're going to tackle things, how people are going to see you, and how you relate with the world. And then you've got your birthday, which talks about your gifts and your talents, and it relates to your life purpose. So when you're starting out a business and you're trying to figure out your niche, you're going to want to look at your numerology chart, because every time someone says your name, they call in your lessons and they kind of put you on that direct path to do what you came here to do. And that's how numerology plays a factor, not only in personal, but also in business. Another neat thing that you can learn and use numerology for in your business is when you're thinking about that phone number you want for your business, or if you have a brick and mortar location and you want to run the numbers on the address. That's always helpful because it definitely can represent a location or a phone number that would be profitable versus one that may be more family oriented or one that may be singular in nature. So I always take a look at my business phone, or if I decide to open up another location, the energy of that address and what it holds. Another aspect of the numerology part that chart that I think is very interesting and very valuable to know a little bit about are your karmic lessons and your challenges. So your karmic lessons are what, and your challenges as well, are the aspects of your life that you have come in to master and to work through. So they could be weaknesses that you have brought in to be able to know how to deal with in a lifetime, and those may surface in your business model or your business plan. And so you want to make sure that either you bring on experts to handle areas that maybe you are not an expert in and you have come to learn to master, or help you deal with the challenges that you have come in to put into place, so that when you're dealing with business situations or clientele that you may not know how to deal with, and that you're here to learn how to deal with or how to grow from, you can have a good support system. So when I'm looking at a chart, I always look at what your karmic lessons and your challenges are, because they're going to be with you through pretty much a lifetime. They're going to influence all your relationships, whether it's business or personal. So it's always good to know what kind of challenges and lessons you're here to learn, so you can tackle them and be one step ahead of the game. Another area that I always look at in someone's chart when they're starting a business, but also when I'm doing a reading as well, is I'll look at the life cycle that they're in. So you have a yearly cycle, a monthly cycle, and a daily cycle. I don't pay too much attention to the daily cycle because there's a lot of other stuff that that you want to know more about that are probably a little bit more informational than just the daily cycle. So when you're looking at what year cycle you're in, what you're looking at is a 0 through 9 vibrational cycle, and each one of those numbers holds a theme, if you will, for the year that will represent what you're going to be up against or what you're going to experience the majority of the year. So for example, if you're in a 1 year, a 1 is about new beginnings. So that may be when you want to think about launching a new product or starting a business or changing course altogether into a new career direction and moving forward at that time. Whereas if you're in a 5-year cycle, 5's all about change. So if something's not working for you, you may want to change things up. Or it may be where you get laid off in your job, or it may be where you are going to school and all of a sudden you decide you don't want to go to school anymore, and you change and you go in a different direction. It can also impact you, not just business wise, but that's typically when you might see a divorce, a relocation, you might sell your house or a vehicle. Something major is going to change. And the year prior to that, which would be a 4, would have prepared you for that 5-year cycle. Another interesting cycle would be an 8-year. An 8 is all about money. So if you were going to launch a business or a new product, that's where you will reap the benefits of all your hard work. But it could also be a year where you lose a lot of money. If you haven't been diligent in your business plan or watching your numbers, you could definitely file bankruptcy in your business. The number 7 is one of my favorite ones, especially being in the spiritual realm, because it's all about going within and really discovering what makes you tick and what your heart's desire is and what direction you want to go. Because when you move into that 8-year, where you're going to be making money and taking action, you want to have a solid 7-year prior to going into that 8 to know who you're about and know what direction you want to go. 9 is all about endings. So if you're in a 9-year cycle, more than likely you are going to have things that are leaving your life that are coming to an end or coming to fruition. So that's a little overview of the 0 through 9 cycles. Now, there are also master numbers like 11, 12, 12, 22, 33. Those numbers don't deduce down to a single digit. They stay a double digit, and they really pack a punch as far as the spiritual lessons and support system from the vibrational frequency of that number bring into the mix. So whenever you have a master number in your name or in your business numerology chart, those are really important to pay attention to. We can even look into the address and number of your business to see what kind of energy it's going to hold. And it can tell you some valuable information as to if you're on the right track. You know, if your chart is a life path 3 and you're a creator, you're going to want to create new products, new businesses, and be action oriented, whereas and be free spirited. Whereas if your life path is a 1, which is a born leader, and you're just going to just ravish the whole business industry, you're going to have plans and systems in place, and you're really going to pave the way for new things in a different respect than would if you were a 3 life path, which is a creator. So I really put high value and high weight on numerology, and that's one thing I love to incorporate when you're looking at starting a business or expanding or scaling your business. So I want to move into astrology, because this is a whole nother modality and world that is just amazing. Astrology uses the planets and how the planets can provide insight to both personal and professional realms. So there's a lot that goes into astrology. There are a couple of things that I like to focus on. I am not a full-blown astrologer, although I know enough to really help guide some aspects of you in your personal life as well as your business, and that's what I love to jump into. So when we're talking about the planets in regards to astrology, you want to look at it as every planet has a personality, and it has maybe a job attached to it, right? So if you take the planet Saturn, Saturn is like the judge of astrology. He's the one that comes in and makes sure that you're following the rules, make sure that you have a strong foundation, that you have structure and systems in your business, and really will create that push to say, don't open up shop until you know how to run a business, because Saturn's ultimate goal is to have you succeed. But in order for you to succeed, you have to have things into place. So when Saturn falls in your chart or is front and center, you know, planetary wise, you're going to feel that push of, God, why do I feel like I need to rewrite the conduct and the code of conduct for my program? Or why am I having trouble with my licensure, or I'm being audited? That's because Saturn's kind of looking at your business or your world saying, you better make sure you have everything in order. Whereas the planet Venus, and Venus governs love, relationships, money. Venus is a beautiful energy that is really going to bring in abundance and beauty into your world. And it's opposite as Mars is, because Mars is the action planet, and Mars wants to just grab a hold of something and move forward and make things happen. And so when you know a little bit about these planets, and when they're in your favor, which means they're going direct and everybody's happy and they're all at the ball having a beautiful time dancing with each other, you'll feel a lot more energy, a lot more forward movement, a lot more peaceful interactions when all the planets are happy and moving forward and direct, as opposed to when they stop or stand still, which is called retrograde. It's like they're moving backwards, but they're not. They're just kind of on hold. Then you feel the real slowdown. So as all that relates to business, you want to know which planets are direct, which ones are taking a nap, because you definitely want, like Mars, for instance, to be moving forward when you launch or open your business. You want everything to have that fire action element to it to move it forward. Whereas if he was asleep on the couch and you go to open your business and do a grand opening, you might not have that many people show up. So that's a little bit about the planets as it relates to astrology. But when you're looking at the time you were born and the location you were born, which falls under astrology as well, it really helps shed some light on the three aspects of yourself that I think play a huge role in creating business and products, launching a business, the position that you would hold in your business. So if we broke that down and we looked at your sun sign, which is that sign that everybody looks at the horoscope, you know, based on your birthday. That's that outer you, your basic nature of who you are. When we take that and we pair it with the moon sign, which the moon is all about your emotions, your feeling aspect. And then we also look at your rising sign, which is at the time of your birth, what planet was coming up. That's how people view you, not necessarily how you view yourself. So when we break it down and look at your sun, moon, and rising, I think it's very interesting to and very important for you to know all three of your signs, because you need to know who's in the driver's seat at all times. And the way you determine that is your location and your time of birth, which is important to have your exact time. So if you don't have it, you'll always know your sun sign, but it may be a little challenging to know your moon and your rising. But how I look at it is, pretend you're driving in a car and you have the driver, you have the passenger, and you have the person in the back seat that's telling you maybe sometimes where you should be going and being the backseat driver. So if I use myself as an example, I have a Libra sun sign. So I'm a Libra when I read my horoscope. My rising, which is how people see me, is Aries. And my moon, which is how I feel and how I relate, is Cancer. So when I am in a session and I am doing a counseling session, or when I'm networking in my business, my Libra, which is the social butterfly, the people pleaser, the balance, the beauty, is really going to want to finesse that relationship and make sure that the client is happy, that they're doing the work, and that the relationship is strong. The Aries part of me, which is my rising, I'm going to ask to be in the driver's seat when I'm doing anything business related. So if I'm promoting a product or a program, if I am trying to work on the infrastructure or the systems, I'm going to bring my Aries in because it's going to kind of kick ass and take names. Whereas my Cancer moon, that's going to come into play when I'm doing a psychic or medium intuitive reading, because Cancer is extremely intuitive, sensitive, emotional, and also very nurturing as well. And so depending on which part of me that I need, I will call up front and center. If a part of me is in the driver's seat and I need to call in another part, I can ask let's say if Aries is in the driver's seat and I'm really needing to hold the space and be compassionate for my client, I'm going to tell Aries to get in the back seat or even the trunk, so that that part of me that's the nurturer or the counselor part of me can come out. So I think it's really important for you to know all three aspects of who you are in astrology as it can impact and relate to your business. It will have valuable insight in the type of clientele that you work with, who you hire, how you relate to people in the workforce industry and your clientele. And so I think that part of it's fun, it's exciting, and it gives you so much valuable insight into who you are, how you relate, and success within your business that you don't want to miss that. Now let's move into the moon phases, because the moon is a powerful, just and beautiful energy system that has a huge impact whether you believe it or not. The moon is related to the water element and the emotion and the feeling of how you relate. And if you think of us being 70% water, you can see how much just the phases of the moon would impact you. And even if you don't believe it, I know that you've heard of how the moon affects the tides, the ebb and flow of the tides, and how all the crazies come out and go, into the hospital, or the police reports go crazy when the moon is a full moon. It's because it really affects how we as humans feel and relate to our world. So when we break down the 4 phases of the moon, the 4 main phases of the moon, we can really gain some great insight on how it affects us emotionally, but also how it can impact business. Let's start with the new moon. So the new moon is really about going within, and it is about seeding those intentions and understanding that what you plant now and the inspiration that you have during a new moon energy phase is going to grow and come to a culmination by the full moon cycle. It's an important time to really kind of go within, relax, rejuvenate, renew, not start new things, but really think about what you'd like to nurture over the next 30-day cycle. So that's a new moon phase energy where it's not a time to launch new products. It's a time to think about what you'd like to manifest and work towards over the next 30 days. Then you move into the waxing phase of the moon cycle. This is where you're coming out. I would say it's like 2 to 14 days after the new moon period. You're coming out of that rejuvenation and the renewal and these grand ideas that you've kind of daydreamed about, and these seeds that you've planted and that you intend to work on. And you feel this energy that starts to grow and culminate. You get excited and you want to really put into play what you have decided that you're going to focus on. So what I love to do, I like to get my calendar out at the beginning of the year and look at all the dates of the waxing moon and plan my launches during business during that time, because the waxing energy is going to push you full force and be in front of your clients. It's where you're going to feel just a newness and an excitement to create action and move forward. It's usually going to be where you acquire most of your clientele in that waxing phase too. So that's a part of the moon energy that's really productive. It's really creative. It's really about manifesting and action. So that's when you would launch. So now let's move into the full moon energy. The full moon is a beautiful, abundant energy where you're really going to celebrate your wins. You're going to be in a state of gratitude. You're going to receive all the wonderful energy and accolades of the hard work that you've done. It comes to a culmination of all the creative wins, all the excitement of seeing your plans come to fruition. That's going to be that full moon energy. You're going to want to be visible in your business. You're going to want to be doing videos, maybe speaking engagements. You're really going to want to be active. You'll want to pay attention to, and especially the sign that the moon is in during that time as well. So as you move into the last phase, which is the waning phase, that's when the energy, you're still creative, but it's starting to wind down, and you're kind of looking at what worked, what didn't work. You're making your environment organized and reorganizing, so that when you move into that new moon phase, you can definitely plant new seeds. The waning phase is where you would release what doesn't serve you anymore and say, okay, this didn't work out. I'm going to go ahead and let that go. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to finish projects that I started that, I didn't launch, and throw them against the wall and see if they stick, basically, so that you can seed new intentions when that new moon comes. So as a whole in your business, you want to take a look at the phases of the moon, because that energy that the moon brings to the table is really going to influence not only your mood, but the actions as it relates to what you would do in your business. And you'll really see a difference once you start working with that feminine energy of the moon. Now, the next and final area that I want to talk about is Mercury retrograde. And I specifically picked Mercury retrograde out to talk about because a lot of people don't know about it, but they absolutely feel the effects of it when it's in retrograde. So Mercury governs communication, technology, contracts, electronics. So when Mercury goes retrograde, what happens, and it does it about 3 or 4 times a year, what happens is it orbits the Earth, and it circles it to the point where it looks like it's going backwards, but it's actually just slowed down. It does this 3 to 4 times a year, and you can feel it when it happens, because typically emails, phone calls, voice messages, text messages, they all kind of go haywire. This is when your computer's going to break down, you're going to miss a phone call or an appointment, your car's going to break down. Communication just gets kind of haywire and sideways, and it really feels like things are just on hold and you're walking through quicksand. So when this happens, and you can easily Google the dates for 2021, you can Google those dates though for any year and see when it happens, and it's about a 3-week period. And when you can feel that energy about 3 or 4 days prior to it going retrograde, and then 3 or 4 days after it goes direct. So in that 3-week period, you don't want to buy anything expensive. You don't want to launch anything. You don't want to start anything new. You really want to take that time to go within and redo or renew or rehash things that are not going well. So consider it a time where you just kind of want to slow down. You want to revisit some things. You want to revise some things. Anything with re, when Mercury's in retrograde, is a time for you just to kind of slow down and move backwards a little. And once it gets to that 3-week period, it's kind of like you're pulling a rubber band back, and right when you let go, it's going to go direct and it's going to go move forward, and you'll need a few more days before it starts going direct. Forward feeling, so that you can launch something. That's going to be an important time 3 or 4 times a year when Mercury goes retrograde, that you'll want to know those dates and how it affects your business. Very important. I hope that this was a general overview for you, but insightful in a way that numerology, astrology, the moon, and especially retrograde will and can impact your personal life and your business, and get you excited about learning a little bit more about these aspects and how they can help you become successful in your business. So I look forward to working with you in this area of development and seeing how it relates to you and your business.